Welcome everyone to a special. We're talking about America in this episode.
Hello, everyone. I'm Liz Webster, and I'm the founder of Save British Farming.
I'm Big Match Studios. I cover mostly British politics, so we're going to do something slightly different today.
Hi, I'm
more
Alex
than
Kerr,
anything.
also known as Political X. I'm a journalist, historian. Right, let's go on to Trump. Trump, the debate. How do you think he did?
Well, he did really badly. And it was so joyous that he did really badly. And I had to laugh today because Nigel Farage on LBC, and he made an excuse for his best buddy, that he thinks that because of the shooting where his ear got shot, it's been so bad for him that is why he did bad in the debate. So I thought that was hilarious that he's coming up with that excuse, especially given that there's been another supposed threat on his life. So this is maybe what they're saying. Oh, poor Trump is not doing very well. They kind of want the sympathy vote for him, perhaps in some ways. But
you want to make America great again with a weak leader who's probably got PTSD. I mean, what is that as an argument?
It is, but they get away with it all of the time. But I don't know. Look, I feel really traumatized by Trump. I go back to 2016 where we voted Brexit, and then we were like, oh no, Trump. And I feel exactly the same now. As in, oh no, not Trump. And I'm really scared to feel very optimistic about Trump not winning, because if I feel like that, then he's going to come and win, and then I'm going to be absolutely traumatized all over again, but worse, because Trump too is going to be worse. So I don't know. Trump is seriously bad news. America is wacky, and they could vote Trump in because their system, the Electoral College, and all of the problems. And even if he just loses, there could even then be another challenge. And it's just never. It's the whole agony over it all is going to be awful. He didn't concede defeat. They're still not conceding defeat from the last election. So it's really, really bad news for America, but it is really bad news for the world.
Musk and a guy called Peter Thiel came out and was saying, yeah, he didn't lose, and there's a chance they're going to cheat this time if it's close, which is just like, wow, you're stoking flames. Madge, thoughts on the debate? How do you think he did? What do you think of Kamala Harris?
Well, I thought Trump did really well. Oh, wait, sorry, I'm being fact-checked. No, he did pretty bad. No, he got fact-checked a lot, which they were prepared for. That's the important thing, where they had people ready to say, no, that's not true. That's not true. I didn't see a ton from the debates, I'll be honest. But with Kamala Harris, like, people were saying she set traps for him or whatever, and kept saying his rallies were small and all this.
Oh,
and
that was bait. That was absolutely beautiful as a bait, and he jumped on it.
Yeah, because he hates that. Any hit to his ego. It reminds me of when I think Rubio said he's got tiny hands. And he was like, my hands aren't small. And then he went on like a 2-minute rant about how his hands aren't small. And I'm just like, okay, get it. We get it, dude. We get it. Okay. You don't have tiny hands. Okay.
You just got thin skin.
Yeah, very, very thin. But I think with Trump, like I seem struggle to win. I think with Kamala Harris, I don't think it's going to be one of those ones where I don't think people are going to be that happy with it, because I don't think people are that happy with what Biden did, and it's a continuation of that.
Why
Hasn't
are they
really
not happy with
demonstrated
what
so
Biden
much.
did? Because their economy is booming. I mean, given where we are, they're in a much better situation than we are.
It's relative, and the other thing is, like, GDP growth is not indicative of a country doing great. It's a factor in it, but you still have people's general living costs. Like, the Conservatives argued we've got the fastest growing economy in the G7. We're like, why am I still broke then, guy?
Yes.
Why can't I afford to live then, guy? It's kind of like that, where just because the economy is doing well, the stock market is doing well, doesn't mean people generally are doing great. And I think with Americans, they hold a lot of weight with their kind of fuel prices, because they don't have public infrastructure like we have. Well, our public infrastructure is pretty bad, but theirs is like non-existent.
Yeah.
So like, I think if they take any kind of fuel increase, they just go nuts. Even though their fuel's cheaper than us, they go berserk. And I can kind of see why. I get it, because some of them drive like 3 hours to their job, and I'm like, bro, I'm just not doing that. But that's how it is over there. Like, I'm just, I had a friend, he drove like an hour and a half, I think. And I'm just like, man, I don't know how you do it. I'd hate
crazy,
that.
isn't it? They have no issue of the lengths. I mean, you get people driving across the states as if it's nothing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And so, like, you can see why the gas price would affect them so much. And they had also, I think they got a labor shortage as well, but amongst other problems, like I don't think they're doing as great as some of the numbers would say. And I think like when people vote, it's based on a feeling of how well do they feel like they're doing. And if you're barely managing, you're not going to be that enthused by the current president. But with Trump, I think like he's such a wild card, and he says the most stupid things like people, immigrants eating cats and dogs and whatever. And you just look at it and you're thinking, what kind of drugs are you on? Like, what are you smoking, bro?
Can
Like,
you imagine
what?
though, Madge, going back to what it was like before? When
Yeah.
he eventually went, I was like, oh, thank God, someone's turned off that megaphone. He's going to be back on there all of the time and be like, oh, not Trump again.
Do you know what it is? During like COVID, you know, when he was saying like inject Lysol or whatever, I
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, that stuff's quite funny. And then he went on the world stage and he started like squaring up to other world leaders and stuff. And he was like trying to sell America by telling Germany stop buying Russian gas. And you're like, well, to be fair, that's not the stupidest thing I've heard. But you know, most of the stuff he said was complete nonsense. And he would say the right things for the wrong reasons as well. But you know what I mean? Like, because he's trying to
That's
sell them
so
American
good.
gas. He's trying to sell them American gas. That's what he cares about. Like, he's not saying like, oh, you know, get off gas and go on to green energy or whatever. He's saying, why aren't you buying our stuff? Why are you buying theirs? And it's like geography, my guy. Russia is here. Germany is here. You're all the way over there, off the map.
The truth of the matter is Vladimir Putin is wanting him to win and waiting for him to win so that he can basically stomp across Europe. You know, he's not going to stop with Ukraine. He's going to come into Poland, and then he's going to want to go further across. You know, this is a real problem for him.
He might get stuck at Poland, to be fair, because the Polish military is not a joke at the moment. They're buying for all of Europe at this point. But you know, he wants someone to come in and destabilize things, and there's no bigger goon who's going to destabilize stuff more than Russia, more than Trump would, because ultimately he wants to pull America out of NATO and things like that. And you've got a lot of countries in Europe which took America for granted, really, didn't adhere to our kind of 2% budget spending. Our military's in a complete shambles, even though we spend 2%, because all that money's been eaten up in procurement and things like that, and just really dumb projects where they have no idea what they're doing.
Do you know they're having a recruitment problem to get people who are fit enough? That's a major issue, especially with the special forces.
I mean, starting salary, right, in the army, I think it's like 21,000 or something like that. Is very low, and like I can work in an office for more than that, and I'm not going to get shot at by some dude in you know, the Middle East or in potentially in Eastern Europe. Do you know what I mean? I type stuff on a computer. Like, do you know what I mean? Chance of me dying is the only chance is boredom. So it's just the salaries are awful, the equipment is awful. It's just the way the MOD's been run is abysmal. So, you know, like we took America for granted because we always thought Big Dog was going to be there. And the moment Trump came in, he said, we might not save you. And then everyone got scared. And so,
in many ways, that was great that he did that.
Yeah.
As you said, right for the wrong reasons. Because it actually got people to go, oh, wait a minute, maybe it isn't a good idea to take all our gas off Russia. Maybe we do need to start bumping up our defense.
You know, if
maybe
Germany
he did see that it was an issue with Russia.
If Germany listened to him at the time, fair enough, he wanted to sell them American gas. Things would be different. But that's what I mean. Like you can, if you keep, you know, saying stuff like that, eventually you'll get some of it right. Even Alex Jones was right once in a very blue moon. But point being is like he's a massive wild card, and he will take America out of global institutions. He also, you know, speaks out both sides of his mouth. Where you know people say like, "Oh, can you end, you know, the Israel-Gaza conflict?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, of course I'll stop it." And then he's like, "Yeah, Israel should take all of it." And you're like, "Which one is it, guy? What are you, you know?" Because he says what you want to hear. Because he's a salesman. Whatever he thinks you want him to say, he will say it. You know, he talked about being less hawkish in the Middle East. Then he talked about, I'll destroy everyone. I'm just like, you can't do both. But that's what he did. But you know, I can't see winning. I think his brain's a lot slower. You know how Biden had a big mental decline? I think Trump's going through the same thing, where he's a lot slower. He's a lot more bitey as well.
It's possible. You know, last night John Major was on, you know, BBC. He's 81, and how old is Trump? He's
76.
I think he's older than that, isn't he? Because Biden is how old? 83.
He looks 83.
Trump is 78.
78.
And how old's Biden?
1 sec. I'll just check that for you now.
It must be 80.
He's 81.
81, same age as John Major. I mean, you know, John Major actually was better than both of them. In fact, you know, he really looks good for his age, and his, you know, the way that he delivers his ideas and his thoughts. So you know, incredible. And those two, God, I mean, but it just shows that you're too old at that age. You should not be allowed to be a leader at that age. You should, you know, it just is crazy that you're allowed to do that. So I really hope he doesn't win. I really hope he doesn't win. I don't know how I can stop. I know that I can't stop or influence the American election in any way, but I wish I could.
I mean,
I
the eating
don't
the
see him
cats
winning.
and eating the dogs thing. I mean, Jesus. And then JD Vance came out and said that they're creating stories in order to get public interest. And you're like, right, so you've told Trump that and he's believed it. And there's no, it's again, one of those far right things, probably Russian interference starting the rumor again, as we seem to be continually seeing. Because I think there was a clip and it was really interesting. It was a lady that was eating a cat and it was in Ohio in Clacton, but it turns out she was American and she just had a mental health issue. And then they just took it this crazy story. And then you look at the other clips, there's no link to any of them being Haitian. So you go, what is this?
I don't see Trump winning. I think 2016, he was an unknown quantity going up against someone who was a very, very weak candidate who was incredibly hated. And so I think he's a known quantity now. He's against a stronger candidate, I think, not by much, but enough where she can actually hold her own. And I think that's what's going to do him in, especially when like that populist angle doesn't work when you outsourced even more jobs under your tenure. When you're telling people to inject Lysol, you're a known quantity at that point.
I really hope you're right, Matt. I really do. I'm scared to feel hopeful. I am, because I don't want to be disappointed.
Harris is 2 points ahead in the lead, according to a lot of the polls. So I could see her winning the populist vote, but if he's done his work like he did last time with Clinton, and he's targeted the right states, that's going to be interesting. Interestingly, he's lost points in Ohio. Shock. Making up stuff about people there eating cats and dogs might have a detrimental effect, and then admitting that you were lying about it and just making stuff up to get in the news. The other interesting thing was Joe Rogan coming out and saying, yeah, he's not the guy. Yeah, accept that you've lost, deal with it. We all know that you lost, accept it. And it was quite interesting because Rogan's he is the leading podcaster in the USA, if not globally. Taylor Swift has clearly come out and said, I don't like you. I don't think people should vote for you. And he's had to tweet, I hate Taylor Swift. Great. So you're probably having more bomb threats being sent to her again. That's going to add to your optics, isn't it? And then he's just openly admitted about eating cats and dogs. It's just, I think it's going to damage him. The concern is what you said. If it's 2 points, is it going to be one of those things for the Electoral College again, where Kamala Harris wins the popular vote, but he wins the Electoral College?
Yeah. Not
so sure, Madge.
It's possible. I mean, I think we'll see another low turnout election. I think it's just not. I can't see a lot of people coming up. But Trump's base is it's a lot weaker than it was, I think. And with like Rogan, like he's very big in the conservative space. I think it just the question is like, is that going to convince people to stay at home? Because if people go out and vote, those people will probably go vote Trump. But if they just say, it's no point, he's useless or whatever, and I don't like her, then potentially they'll just stay home. But it's just a waiting game because there's not much time left. To be fair, it's in a few months, isn't it?
Yeah,
but
November.
we'll have to see if there's another set of debates. It's just up to Kamala Harris to really get the vote out and really push.
Do you think he'll go in another debate with her?
Maybe he's arrogant enough. All she has to say is, Donald Trump's scared to debate me. He was like, no, I'm not. I'll debate you right now.
Yeah, I think they'll have another debate.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see because Americans.
And then we can have another chat about it.
Yeah, if he wins this, you kind of say about democracy and stuff like that. Just wrap it up. Let's just the Greeks tried it. Let's just wrap this up now. Let's just wrap this up now. We're done here.
Look, the big difference is the system is separated in the States at least. So it isn't all. I mean, it's changed slightly thanks to the Supreme Court making a mockery of the presidential system, essentially saying he's got unlimited power. But it's still got checks and balances, which I'm quite happy to see. I mean, unlike what you see in the UK. Anyway, on that cheerful note, thanks very much for that little short one. Bye, everyone.
Be sure to tune in next week for another exciting story from the files of Police Squad.